So here's one incredibly important part of the home buying process that sadly is given less attention than it deserves. How to preview property or what to look out for. Unfortunately, too often I see buyers get seduced by pretty pictures on Zillow. They show up to the house, fall in love with the staging, and then they're like $50,000 above the asking price. Now, best case scenario, they spend a bunch of money on inspections and cancel the transaction. Worst case scenario, they close the transaction and are like, whoops, should have paid more attention to that. So let's talk about what to look out for when previewing single-family homes in beautiful Los Angeles, California. And a big thanks to home inspector Frank Anarumo from Anarumo Inspections, who helped me put some of this content together. But let's talk about what to look for before you even show up to the property, what to look for in the neighborhood, the exterior, and the interior coming up. So it's like 2 in the morning, you're on Zillow, and you found what looks like the perfect property. So what should you do next? 1, get some sleep, you got work tomorrow. But once you've done that, there are typically 3 things that I like to look at. 1, check recent sales. Here you're just trying to get an idea of the neighborhood based on prices. You ideally want to see prices similar to the subject property. So if the property is like $3 million, but every other sale is like $300,000, just stop. Discard. You're buying a mansion in the hood, not worth it. Actually, run away. Number 2, Google Maps. Take a quick stroll on Google Street View and just watch out for like any eyesores, pothole infested streets, crack house neighbors, stuff that can have a negative effect on value. Number 3, public records. And here I just want to cross-check the property information that shows up on the MLS with what shows up on public records. For this, we have the county assessor's office as a source. And actually, if you're on Zillow, you can actually find a direct link under the section titled Public Tax History. And for example, on this property, the MLS says the property's 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,000 square feet. Now, if we click on the link, the tax record says it's 2 bedrooms, 3 baths, and 1,600 square feet. So there is a big difference here, but not the end of the world, as the tax records are not the ultimate authority when it comes to permits. For that, you have the building and safety department. But this should trigger us to want to verify permits, or at least ask, like, why the difference? And a shameless interruption to let you know that if you like this video, it would mean a lot if you hit like or subscribe. And sorry about that, but now let's move on to section number 2. Let's talk neighborhood. As you're driving to the house, make note of the surrounding area. And one thing to look out for is a general sense of conformity. And I know it's like, conformity, boring. But don't worry, in real estate, a certain amount of conformity is actually a good thing. It's like in life. It feels really good to be the smartest person among your friends, but at the same time, they're really not doing much to help you grow. And you want to ask questions like, does your property conform to the area? You ideally don't want to be the biggest house on the block, the nicest house, nor the most expensive. And if you are, you would at least want to see signs that the neighborhood is trending in that direction, like houses being remodeled or under construction to the same caliber as the subject property. Number 2, make note of neighborhood boundaries. A neighborhood can change dramatically from one street to another. I mean, Santa Monica, just to be able to say you live north of Montana, is gonna cost you like several $1 million more. So yes, boundaries matter. And finally, on neighborhood, make note of your neighbors. Are their houses well kept? Are they hoarders? Do property lines seem questionable? Later, if you like the property, I say drive around at different times or walk and see if you can actually catch a conversation with the neighbors. I mean, I've known people who've sold their house simply because their neighbors sucked. So yes, some people suck. Try not to live next to them. And section number 3, the exterior. Now, by this point, you're probably going crazy trying to get inside the house and admire the staging. But if you can, take a moment to observe and walk the exterior of the property. A couple of things to look out for. Number 1, termites. Try to identify some exposed wood and see if there's any signs of rot or deterioration, or see if you can actually find some termites which look like this, but not always, but these tend to be the more visible ones. Now, in most cases, this is not something to necessarily freak out about, as termites can actually be somewhat common in Los Angeles, but worth making a note of and discussing with the termite inspector. Number 2, foundation. This is one of the most expensive things to repair in a house, so just take a walk around the property and make note of the foundation walls if it's a raised foundation. And don't get freaked out if you see cracks. Most foundation walls will have cracks, and that's actually kind of normal due to natural settling of the foundation over time. But what you do want to watch out for are cracks that are thicker than about 1/4 of an inch or about the thickness of a pencil. Number 3, illegal additions. You can sometimes tell if an addition was made to the property by looking at the foundation or roof. You might notice a difference in texture, finish, or direction of the foundation wall or roof in the area where the addition was made. But to make it easier, just play a game of like which doesn't belong, and typically it works. And if you do find a section that doesn't seem to belong, make a note of it and check permits, because generally an addition without permits has no value. Now, luckily most cities are now making it easier to view existing permits by making them available online. If you're in the city of Los Angeles, and I'll put a link in the description below, go to the Building and Safety Department website, punch in the address, and voila, permits. Number 4, plumbing. Try to find some exposed water supply line. If the house was built before 1960, you'll want to avoid seeing galvanized plumbing, which looks like this. And if it's still present, just keep in mind that by now this material is pretty much at the end of its life, and you will likely have to replace it soon. Ideally, you'll want to see copper plumbing, which looks like this. And later, when you're inside of the house, run some faucets and make note of the water pressure and draining speed. Low water pressure in more than one faucet or slow draining can sometimes be a sign of a plumbing issue. And finally, on the exterior, number 5, take a look at the roof, which can also be an expensive repair. And just make note of the obvious: patching, missing, or cracking shingles. A bad roof can sometimes also have a shine to it from the exposed backbone of the shingles. So if you do see a shine on the roof, don't get excited. It's not a good thing. And section number 4, the moment you've all been waiting for, the interior. Number 1, whatever you do, do not get seduced by the staging. There's a saying that says that the way you furnish a house to live and the way you furnish it to sell, totally different. In fact, the way you furnish a house to sell many times doesn't even make sense, but it looks pretty and it sells. So be careful with the staging. Number 2, look for damage. Look at the walls, ceilings, floors. Look for water stains. Water stains from past or current leaks can be a sign of bad plumbing or a bad roof. Unattended water leaks can also lead to mold and potential health issues. Look for abnormal cracks on the walls. Again, some cracking can be normal, but as a rule of thumb, if you can stick a quarter in the crack, you could potentially have a foundation problem. Number 3, make note of the finishes. Is the quality comparable to what can be expected of the purchase price and the neighborhood? Does the house have architectural personality, character, or is it just a box with windows and a door? It is absolutely proven that buyers will pay more for art that you can live in than just something to live in. Take a look at quality and craftsmanship. Simple things like, did they paint within the lines? Are material joints well connected, or is there gaps? Do things that are supposed to move like they're supposed to? Windows, faucets, cabinet drawers. And speaking of cabinets, are they made of solid wood or particle board? Solid wood cabinets are typically more expensive, durable, and considered higher end. And finally, on the finishes, really just give it the old kick in the tire test. Like, feel stuff, touch it. Does it feel shaky, sturdy, solid? Did it just break into 1,000 pieces? If so, get out of there, run before they catch you. Number 4, floor plans. Some common floor plan mistakes: bedrooms that are too small, not enough storage. Also, most houses have been decluttered, so try to envision all your crap inside of the house and ask yourself, does it fit? Make note of proportions. Is it a 5-bedroom house but the kitchen really only feeds like 2 people? Watch out for eyesores. Does the dining room table have a panoramic view of the toilet? Also consider orientation and window placement. North facing will usually be a little bit more shady, south you'll get a bunch of sun, east you'll get it in the morning, west you'll get it in the afternoon. And finally, the garage. Is it really a 2-car garage or is it like 1.5? In conclusion, the 3 best tips that I can give you are: number 1, look at a bunch of houses before you commit. Even if they're not houses that you like or are within your price range, the point is to get as many reference points as possible. And weekend open houses are a great way to get that exposure. Number 2, of course, work with a realtor. They do this for a living, like that's all they do. They see a bunch of houses, tap into that knowledge. And number 3, these tips are not a substitute for hiring the appropriate professionals to inspect the property. I usually recommend starting off with a general home inspection, a termite inspection, and a sewer camera inspection. Any further inspections, I would base them off the results from these 3 reports. And if you're in Los Angeles, he definitely didn't pay me to say this, but he's really good at what he does. Check out Frank and his company, Anarumo Inspections. They can help you out with all 3 of the recommended inspections. But let me know what you guys think. What else would you add to the list of things to look out for? If you've already bought a property, what advice would you give first-time home buyers? If you're a contractor, builder, architect, feel free to chime in, put it in the comments below. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel. I'm a real estate agent in Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe to get more Los Angeles real estate related videos. In the meantime, thanks a bunch for watching and have an awesome day.